Welcome to the NFL AFC West Futures preview video for the 2021-2022 NFL season. These numbers all come from Pinnacle Sportsbook as of August 30th. Fat Guy, season win totals. I'm just going to start with the average. You guys might have seen a few of our shows before this. This is going to be a daily series previewing the season up to kickoff on the Thursday Night Football. We'll start off with the season wins. To break even in season win totals, the average juice at Pinnacle is minus 109, meaning that you only have to be right 52.2% of the time. I can't believe I said only you have to be right 52.2% of the time, because that's still not easy to do. But compared to some of the other things we're going to talk about as far as divisional odds, conference odds, Super Bowl odds, season wins are the best to look at. And Fat Guy, with that, starting off with that, let's just go straight into the Kansas City Chiefs. 12.5 wins. The juice is favoring the under, surprisingly, here at minus 124. Is it a surprise to us, though?
Well, it's possible. I mean, I think this is more of a true price, because I feel like this is what the season win totals have been for the Chiefs on a 16-game season. And it's they're getting an extra game, so perhaps this is highlighting a potential slight decline for the Chiefs. I mean, they've pretty much been the best team in the NFL for, I don't know, since Mahomes has been the quarterback, more or less. So they do have, I believe, the highest win total, and deservedly so. But perhaps there is some sharp action on the under. Again, I'm purely speculating, but I do like these OUs in terms of season long win total over unders in terms of the juice. The juice that you have to pay is so much lower than the other ones, types of bets that we're going to display. I do want to add one thing, I do add it in every video, is that you do tie up the money, though. Even if you had a higher expected value in a season win total, you tie up the money for the duration of this season. Some books will pay you early if the bet matures, i.e. if the Chiefs win the first 13 games in a row and you had the over. Some books will pay you out right on the spot there. Others make you wait till the season long. I will advocate that this is, if you do know someone that you do trust betting with, this might be a better option to pay more juice even, because most of those people, if you bet on trust, you don't have to tie that money up. And since, to use an economic term here, we have an unlimited wants and limited resources, so tying up your money is obviously a bad thing. However, if you do trust someone and you can do a pay later situation, this might be the way of going and paying slightly more juice, assuming you have a verified edge, which is very hard to do.
Next up, the LA Chargers, 9.5 wins. The juice favors the under at minus 113.
Now, there is some intrigue here. This is probably one of the most interesting divisions to highlight. Justin Herbert, last time we checked, I believe was yesterday, was third in MVP odds. So this lends to me the idea that the Chargers have probably the highest gap in ceiling and floor in terms of win totals. Because if Justin Herbert has that high of MVP odds, that means his ceiling performance is very high, which also means it's probably very risky. So to throw this out there, I would actually be interested in what an alternate line is on, say, an LA Chargers over 11.5. What kind of plus money could I get? Or an LA Chargers under 7.5. What kind of plus money could I get there? So I just, one of those things, you kind of extrapolate information, right? Because not all spreads are the same. It's kind of like betting Jameis Winston on the money line as opposed to the spread. He kind of goes for broke. You're more likely to win than you are to cover, theoretically. So this is one of those instances where I think the Chargers might have a higher ceiling. So I don't really like this neutral line. I'd be more interested in an alternate line if there was such a thing. There you go, Sportsbook. You have some homework to do.
Denver Broncos, 8.5 wins. Pretty heavy juice on the over here at minus 144. I feel like there's a lot of positive feelings towards the Denver Broncos as the season approaches.
I have a theory about this. There's some layover, I think, on Denver, because a lot of the shift came on Denver's positivity, I believe, was when there was a chance they were the most likely team other than the Green Bay Packers that Aaron Rodgers would jump to through trade or what have you. So I think what happened is there's a lot of shift towards Denver in terms of positive outlook, but I don't know if it corrected back to what it should be, because I believe their Super Bowl odds was worse than Las Vegas before the Aaron Rodgers rumor, or the Aaron Rodgers gambit, as I like to call it. So they dropped dramatically from, I believe, in the 60s all the way down to 23-1. And then obviously we'll see at the end of this video where they leveled off at. But I'm not sure they corrected quite in the right area. In terms of, again, we don't like talking about necessarily players and rosters and stuff, but I do like boring quarterbacks that don't really turn the ball over, and they tend to cover more often. So perhaps it's another reason for Denver's optimism could be some sharp action on a team with a strong defense and a marginal quarterback that doesn't really turn the ball over. Teddy Bridgewater, as we like to call him, Teddy covers. So that could lend itself to a more myopic view of the Denver Broncos.
And to me, maybe the most polarizing team on multiple levels for futures is the Las Vegas Raiders, who have a very low 6.5 win total, which you wouldn't, at least I wouldn't personally expect. But it seems like a lot of people agree with me because the juice on the over is minus 216. That's a whopping 68.35% on the juice on the over, which is very high. Like, it's so
Very
high. It
Why
makes
not shift it?
Yeah, like, it makes me feel like this line should have been shifted long ago. Maybe 7.5 seems like more the right fit, or maybe like 7 with like a minus 140 type juice. But it just seems so weird to have them at 6.5 at minus 216.
Well, don't forget, there is some correlation here between season win totals because all these teams play each other twice, right? So you can't shift the balance too much. And there's an arbitrage algorithm for these books. So they need to keep the numbers a certain way and then have certain price balancing, at least a lot of books. I'm not sure Pinnacle does that necessarily, but you do have to keep that in consideration, that these are all correlated, considering they are going to play each other twice. Now, Las Vegas, I think there is potentially value here because they were the negative benefactor of the in terms of outlook from the Aaron Rodgers gambit, as I like to say. Is Denver shifted way down in Super Bowl odds, whereas Las Vegas dropped because it's a balancing act, right? Mm-hmm. And both of those teams are correlated. So I think there is a chance here that there's a lot of value on the Las Vegas Raiders going forward in all of these futures. It's tough to tell you to lay minus 216. Again, this is an alternate line. I'd rather take like plus money over 8.5 wins. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But I'm not sure how far that 216, what it actually would boil down to in terms of comparable odds. Probably something like over 7.5 at minus 120. I'm just throwing a number out there. But I do think Las Vegas, there hasn't been a correction in terms of positivity. So again, I don't really like betting overs, but you have to think in terms of the pricing might be off because the Aaron Rodgers gambit was never corrected, I believe, at least for Denver, and Las Vegas was the one that got hurt on it.
Yeah, one thing I know you're speculating, I speculated earlier. I will say one of the weaknesses that you and I have is projecting how much the value of a win is when looking at these season win totals.
Tough.
So that's going to be a good thing for you and I to tackle as the season progresses and for next season. It is a very big math problem, but the math is there. It's just I already know how to do it in my head. It's just about doing it. And I guess
putting pen to paper is tough, Big Rye.
Yeah. So on to the divisional odds. I can't remember. Did we leave this video? If not, I'm just going to say it right now. Season win totals, 52.1%. I'm pretty sure I already said this all, so I'm going to skip over it. And we're going to talk about the division, which the division break even, the juice that we're going to pay at Pinnacle at least is minus 124 on average, meaning that the break even rate has to be 55.3%, which is not impossible, but it is unlikely. And with that aside, let's jump into the odds. Kansas City Chiefs are a whopping minus 316 to win the division. Chargers plus pretty much 5-1. Denver is 6-1. And the Las Vegas Raiders somehow are 18-1 to win the division. I'm just going to let you tackle this one.
Well, this is something we're going to have to tackle every time. It's a line that I guess I came up with is unwanted things, unpopular things are discounted. So if we look from the bottom up, look at the Raiders. You're only going to have to pay a 0.48% uh, uh, sorry, a 0.48% commission or juice. I don't know why I have to interchange those two terms so often. That's very little. So if you were looking to handicap this, is there value on the Raiders at plus 1868? It's the best place to look first, right? Because the beating the juice is a lot easier on that than having to be on Kansas City. This is why I said this division is so interesting. Look at the juice on that. What is that? More than 7%? That's crazy,
It is
right?
crazy.
Because think about it. It's 110% 110.53%, meaning there's a 10.53% hold on the divisional bets, splayed out over the 4 possible results. But like we said, popular things, you have to pay a premium. And look at Kansas City. I would imagine they probably have the most of any team in the NFL. You're paying the most juice with them. It's not that I don't think Kansas City is going to win the division. Of course I do. But is the price right, Bob Barker? I don't know at minus 316. And even if it is, I don't want to, think about that juice that I have to overcome. I have to think that they're a minus 250 favorite realistically for me to even tackle this, especially tying my money up for that long if I already use a traditional sports book. It's really difficult to bet these favorites, even betting these types of futures, divisional conference and Super Bowl, considering you can get so many better plays on even another sport betting randomly, just because of how tough this juice is to beat. And that's why I can't in good conscience say back anybody betting a heavy favorite in one of these divisional conference or even Super Bowl bets, which we're going to see is only going to get worse, I imagine, going forward.
It's you said something there that resonated with me and I thought was kind of funny, is that Pinnacle offers minus 104 on baseball sides.
Yeah.
But you're better, like I would be better off randomly picking a baseball one than if you put a gun to my head and said that I had to choose between the Chiefs, the Chargers, and the Broncos for a divisional a bet. Just because
long term though.
Yeah, especially the Chiefs, because I'm just talking about prices. Like everybody knows the Chiefs are considered the best team going in, especially in the division. It's just such an interesting thing to think about, that you're more likely to randomly hit at 52.1% than you are to pick right 55.3%. It's a weird math thing. I don't know if people are following what I'm saying. So I'm just going to keep going, and we're going to go on to the conference odds. What's interesting about conference odds is the average line is minus 160. So the average juice you're going to pay betting a team to win the conference is minus 160, which means that you have to be right 61.5% of the time over the long term to be able to make money. Insane, fat guy. So I'm just going to go straight into the conference odds. The Kansas City Chiefs are 2.5 to 1. The Chargers are just slightly under 15 to 1. Denver slightly over 18 to 1. And the Las Vegas Raiders just under 30 to 1 to win the AFC and make it to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, this is a 23.1% juice splayed out over 16 results, and another 16 possibilities, rather, 16 teams in the conference. Now, the thing I don't like about the conference in particular is it takes even longer to mature than the 17-week season that we're already going to add a game to, right? So the conference is it doesn't mature until who goes to the Super Bowl. That's another big mistake, probably Big Rise only mistake that I can remember of a large magnitude. And like I said, the top, you have to pay a premium for the popular teams, and the Chiefs are undoubtedly the favorites to win this conference. But look at the juice you have to pay. It's top heavy. It's over 5%. That's just insane. What you want to do is look at the bottom up, and it's less than 1% on the Las Vegas Raiders. Do I think they're going to win the conference? No. But 1 in 29.57 times, yeah, it is more than likely. I at least want to look there first. I want to look in the discount bin first to see if I can't find a deal. I do have some sort of inkling, though, or some sort of tidbit. It's not that I think this is going to happen. It is interesting. When I did talk about alternate lines with the Chargers, because they probably have a high variance in terms of season predicated on the really short odds for Justin Herbert at the third most likely to be MVP. It makes me more more willing to gamble on them, considering that he has a ceiling that I don't even know of, but I'm extrapolating from the odds. You only pay less than a 1% juice, or sorry, just over a 1% juice between the conference odds and the true conference odds, which I can stomach. Not that I am advocating for this bet, but if you were to, a team with a high ceiling predicated on the quarterback's performance is more attractive than others. And since the Chargers aren't exactly a popular pick, this is, airing around the discount bin. Low juice, high upside. This would be somewhere I would also look if I were to find value, or if I were trying to find value, which I think we all should be doing. So anyways, that's where I would look first. On to the Super Bowl.
And just to kind of reiterate what the fat guy just said is that in a bucket full of terrible bets, the Chargers might be one of the best.
Yes.
So
yeah,
it's not he's not saying like, hey, bet the Chargers to win the conference. No. He's saying gun to his head. If
that's what I would take for value.
Yeah, if someone gave him money and said you have to bet this for fun, that's probably where he's going to go. But he's definitely not going to be putting his hard-earned dollars.
No, I definitely not.
On to the Super Bowl, which has a staggering 62.2% break-even point. Minus 165 is the average juice you pay. After that boring stuff, I know that's the only stuff Fat Guy and I care about. On to the stuff you guys care about. Kansas City Chiefs are plus 490 to win the Super Bowl. Chargers are 28-1. Denver 46-1. And the Las Vegas Raiders 74-1 to win the Super Bowl.
Look how short these odds are. 4.9-1 on the Chiefs. Hey, it's we bet the number, not the team. A lot of people think that I have these poor assumptions about teams. I don't care about any of it. I don't even care about the Browns when I make a financial decision, because I'd rather be a bad winner than a good loser, if that makes any sense. And you got to win ugly in these types of things, and it's always about betting the number. The juice is the highest. It's 24.55% splayed out over 32 recipients. It takes the longest to mature because it's after the Super Bowl weekend. So these are the most unattractive bets possible. You're paying the most juice and your money's tied up the longest, assuming you don't bet with a bookie. Like I had mentioned earlier, it was perhaps a better idea, assuming the trust level, and you throw that in the simulator and you come out with the chance of not getting paid, that sort of thing. Anyways, the Chiefs, despite that juice being spread out 24% over 32 times, an average of 0.8 is still over 3%. So as we said, you have to pay for a premium, and the Chiefs are just overly popular at this price. Whereas, the Chiefs are just, you're paying such a high premium at this price. Whereas if I were looking for value, I would start with the bottom and work my way up with the lowly Raiders, which are they really that lowly? This price might be reflective of that Aaron Rodgers gambit, because Denver was, I think, like I said, 58-65-1 roughly before the Aaron Rodgers news. And did they get that much better in between the summer, like early this summer and now? I don't think so. It just doesn't make sense to me. So I think that the Raiders odds were negatively affected. And that might be a team to circle if you were to make one of these high juice fun bets, which is really what they all are, is you'd want to look somewhere there. It is possible there's value. There's just so many other attractive choices. But I do think that this number for Denver is, even though I like how their team is built, but I look strictly at numbers, at least I try to, and remove as much bias as possible, is, that pricing between the Denver Broncos and the Las Vegas Raiders just doesn't seem right to me. It seems that the Aaron Rodgers gambit hasn't been corrected in this form either.
Thank you for watching our Divisional Futures preview for the 2021-2022 NFL season. The Fat Guy and I have a lot planned for the upcoming season. The picks video will be released every Sunday night. We will have our third annual Picks Against the Spread contest. We will be live for every Monday night and Thursday night football game. Our $5 a month YouTube membership will include our popular Discord channel, 3 weekly NFL betting market videos from myself, where I take a look at the betting and money percentages to see if and where the value lies on spreads, over-unders, and money lines. The Fat Guy will have a new weekly segment called Ask the Fat Guy, where he will discuss different topics from our upcoming book. So please consider clicking the join button to access our $5 a month YouTube membership and access everything the Fat Guy and I have to offer. Good luck to you in the upcoming NFL season.